I have started getting a lot of questions about how I'm able to do my makeup as a visually impaired person, so I thought I would show you a little blind girl friendly everyday makeup tutorial and show you how I do my just super basic everyday work makeup. Okay, we're gonna start with foundation, but before you put this on, you wanna use some kind of hydrating skin prep, whether that be a moisturizer, a serum, anything that will give you the most hydrated surface to start with. The hardest part about foundation is going to be choosing a shade for obvious reasons. My two solutions to this are one, and most ideal, find a sighted friend that you know is good at makeup, take them to Ulta or Sephora with you or wherever you want to get your makeup, and ask for their help in picking shades of foundation, concealer, contour, blush that are flattering for you. Another option that I rely on a lot is using AI. A lot of brands now will have shade matching filters on their website, or you can also use ChatGPT by uploading a photo of yourself and asking for recommendations. And if you want more of a thorough step-by-step process of how I use AI to help with makeup, just let me know because I would be happy to make that video. I'm using Maybelline's Lumi Matte Foundation and I chose this shade with AI's help. I'm going to start by putting 2 pumps on the back of my left hand. We're gonna use a foundation brush. You can either search for a foundation brush, stippling brush. You want something that's kind of densely packed and you can use to sort of stipple the foundation on. I dabbed my brush super lightly into this little puddle of foundation on my hand 3 times, so just taking a little bit. And because we're going to use feel for how blended in this foundation is, I'm going to start by plopping it smack dab in the middle of my left cheek and start blending it out. And I can already feel that it's starting to dry. You want to be blending it towards the outer part of your face. And as I can feel that it's starting to be pretty much worked in, I'm going to just take anything from the edges and drag it down past my neck, into my ears, all the way to the very outside parts of your face. And also I like to drag it in closer towards like my mouth and my chin because that's kind of where that blending stopped. So we just want to do anything we can to make these sections not look like sections. We want them to all blend together and we want them to blend into the rest of our face. When in doubt, do this for a long time. Okay, now I'm going to do the exact same thing on my right cheek. Just about 2 or 3 little dips into the foundation on the back of your hand and then start in the middle of your cheek and blend it out towards the outer part of your face. And again, as soon as you can kind of start to feel it drying out and blending into your face, start dragging it down your neck, down past your jawline, blend it into your ear, into your hairline kind of. Take it up to your temple. Next section is gonna be the forehead. Again, about 2 dips, and I'm starting right in the middle of my forehead and I'm blending out towards my hairline. Stippling motions, like pressing it into my face. And once you can start to feel it drying, start blending it all the way out into your hairline. And take it down into your temple so that it will meet the blending you did on your cheeks. Also take it down between your eyebrows and down onto your nose a little bit. We're not looking for full coverage here, you're just starting to drag it down. Next section is our little chinny chin chin. Go smack dab in the middle and then start blending it out to where you blended your cheeks. Also go above your lip with this one. And you can kind of blend it in to your nose a little bit too. Of course, take it, drag it down past your chin once you start to feel it drying out a little. Or most of the way, I guess, not a little. Okay, and our last section's our nose. We don't have much foundation left, but that's okay because we've already kind of covered this just by virtue of bringing all the other blending together. But just go ahead and do one little pass over your nose. Make sure you blend it down into the area above your lip, up into between your brow bones, a little bit to the side so you meet your cheeks. And then bam, you have fully applied foundation without looking at yourself or in a single mirror once. Next is gonna be concealer. Mine is sort of on its last leg, so I'm gonna try to get a lot of product as much as I can. But if you have one that's more full, you wouldn't probably wanna do that. I'm going to pop it right under the inner corner of my eye, and I'm just keeping it right there. I'm not like spreading this out anywhere. And I'm gonna do the exact same thing right under the inner corner of my left eye. Now, I also like to put it a couple other places. On either side of my nostrils, just a teeny tiny bit. And then I also like right under the corners of my mouth, teeny tiny bit, between my brows just a little bit, and then I take that one down the center of my nose, just a touch. You wanna let the foundation under your eyes sit the longest, so I'm just going to start blending out all the other concealer I put on. I'm so sorry I ran out of storage while I was blending my concealer, but I use the exact same foundation brush and all I do is tap it into the areas I placed it. So under my lower lip and then bringing it up kind of to the corner of my mouth on both sides, just right around the nostril and down under it for my nose, right between the brow bones for the forehead and kind of feathering it out towards the top, and then just straight down the middle of the nose. And then for the under eye, I blend them last, starting right under the inner corner of my eye and using stippling motions to drag it up to the outer corner of my eye and my temple area. You can again feel it as it's drying out, and then just keep blending extra on that one. Blend, blend, blend. When in doubt, blend, blend, blend some more. Next, I'm taking liquid blush. This one's a lot, so I'm gonna kind of drag off any excess. For placement, what I like to do is just sort of feel your cheekbone and cheek area, and you want to just pop a little dot kind of between the apple of your cheek and your temple. I'm gonna take another really packed kind of stippling style brush, but this one is more angled, which is great for blush or contour. I'm going to start using stippling motions to drag that up to my temple. This is not one where you can just use the dryness to feel out how thoroughly it's blended, so powder blush can sometimes be easier. I'll show you a little hack for that too. But in general, you just wanna go ham, and then I kind of come back down, blend it back up, come back down, blend it back up in sort of a C motion. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side to kind of just feel out my cheeks and use that to place my little dab of blush and then start blending it out. If you would rather try to use a powder blush, what you can do is take your left hand and make like the little Nike swoop symbol with your pointer finger and thumb and hold that right up to your cheek. So your pointer finger is going to be touching the top of your ear and your thumb is going to be kind of cradling the apple of your cheek. And you are just going to apply your blush right above your pointer finger and up to your thumb. And that will kind of naturally create the same C shape that I'm talking about blending with here. So just a little goes a long way with powder blush, just one or two super light taps. And then if you just do upward sweeping motions using that hand as a guide, you'll end up with something pretty solid. Okay, next I'm gonna set all of this with a little bit of powder. I just like to dump a little into the lid of the powder, and then you take a big fluffy brush, do like 2 nice taps, and to make sure that you don't have too much, just tap off the excess on the side of your hand. I start right under my left eye and I'm focusing primarily on that under eye area and just tapping powder in. Also do my actual eyelid. And then I'm gonna drag the brush down a little and keep tapping into kind of like my smile line area and then down to my chin. And then I'll go up to the forehead, just kind of broadly tapping and cover that side, the left side of my nose as well. And kind of the least important part to set is if I have anything left, I'll just tap my cheeks a little bit because we don't really want to diffuse that blush too much, but it's also good to set the foundation. Now the exact same thing on the other side. You can also take this moment to kind of drag your powder down your neck for a little extra blending safety. Okay, now mascara is the truly difficult part. So I'm gonna start with curling my eyelashes, which I don't feel like is a very visual thing. Like I do it entirely by feel. So I don't know, you take it up to your face, you plop your lashes between the 2 little prongs and you squeeze your little heart out. I don't know how to help with this one, I'm sorry. I do one eye at a time. So I'm gonna start with just curling my right eyelashes. I'm gonna take my mascara, I scrape the edges on the bottle a little bit just to make sure that there's not too much. How do I explain this? Holding the wand vertically, take it up to your eye, close your eye, and kind of feel so that it's very lightly touching your lashes as you hold it vertically, and start using really tiny left to right swiping motions to just kind of apply a little bit to the very edges of your lashes. And honestly, if you touch your eyelid at this point, it's not the end of the world. Now after that, I kind of use my other hand to feel this out, stabilize this. I put it under my eye, and then I take the mascara brush, place it at the base of my lashes, give it a little wiggle, and then basically just blink down. And then I do that kind of in the middle of my eyelash, at the outer edge, and then the inner edge. And you can do this a few times just to make sure you got everything coated. Again, if you get little mascara flecks on your eyelid, it's not a problem. We can get rid of them. And then I also like to do my bottom lashes. So again, I kind of use my other hand to help guide. And I just very lightly coat. Bam, bam, one eye done. For full disclosure, usually when I do this, I do use my mirror as a guide. I just get really close to it. I'm not sure if you can see, my nose is like practically touching it. And I'll do the exact same thing for the other eye. And my little vertical coat. And then we blink it on. And every single part of this process just feels more intuitive the more you practice it. It's kind of hard for me to describe how I do some of this. I've just gotten so used to doing it. A lot of it kind of just becomes technique muscle memory. And it turns out it's actually really hard to describe what you're doing. Next is brows. I just like to use a clear brow gel. This one is from e.l.f. Again, I like to kind of get off any excess because this can get like gloopy and gloppy on your face really fast. And you want to start brushing your eyebrows up from the inside, like where they meet your brow, or the side by your nose. Start brushing them up and a little bit out at an angle, like to the outside of your face. And do that across your whole eyebrow. And then once you get to the outer little tail, you kind of want to like drag it out a little and flick it out more than you're like brushing it up. I apologize for my vocal fry. I have a little bit of a sore throat. Okay, then once you have thoroughly brushed through it, take your brow pencil, or take the brush, place it at the top of your eyebrow, again, the nose side, and kind of just drag it across the top of your eyebrow, following its shape, to help smooth out any like crazy hairs you might have going any which way. Like I always get crazy hairs right at the top of my arch, so I always try to pull them down and smooth them out a little. Same thing on the other side. I'm dipping in for a little more brow glue, getting the excess off, and then starting at the inside of my brow. That's what it is. The nose side would be the inside. Anyways, same thing, just brushing your brows up and out at a little bit of an angle, and then taking the tail fully out to the side. And then a little sweep over the top to make sure you got any crazy hairs. And the last real step of my everyday work makeup for me is lipstick. This is something I've always just been able to do by feel. I don't know, like from the time I started putting lipstick on. You just plop it in the middle of your bottom lip, and I don't know, you can just feel where your lip edges end, and you don't want to go over the line. Okay, after I do the bottom lip, I give my lips a good rub-a-dub, and then more carefully and slowly, you feel out your Cupid's bow. And you just fill in your little lippies to the best of your little ability. Let me give it one more rub-a-dub. And then if you're worried, what you can do is, well, you should always do that. Take a finger, pop it in your mouth, and make sure you've got all the excess from inside your lips out, because you don't want that on your teeth. And then if you're worried about the edges, literally just take your fingers, feel out the edges of your lips, do a little sweep along the sides and into the corner to make sure you don't have any messy parts, and you can do the same thing with your Cupid's bow. Okay, this is pretty much it, except for one thing. I think I actually did a fairly decent job this time avoiding getting little mascara flecks everywhere, but when you inevitably do, take a clean, dry spoolie and literally just like run it across your entire eyelid, kind of scraping any little bits off. This won't hurt, don't do it hard or anything. and I literally take it across my entire eyelid, all the way down to the base of my lashes and all the way up to my eyebrows. And that way, if there are any little mascara fleckies that I don't know about and can't see, I am more than likely getting them off in this process. And if you're worried that you might have mascara flecks from your lower lashes, you can do the exact same thing under your eye. Ideally, I would set this with setting spray, but I am currently out. So this is the finished everyday work, visually impaired friendly makeup look. There are definitely instances where I do a lot more than this, like contouring and eyeshadow look, eyeliner, the whole shebang. Definitely will show you that process another time when I have a little bit more time to film it. If you have any questions or if there's something that I kind of failed to explain super thoroughly, which is probably the case, please drop them in the comments and I will do my very best to answer them or answer them better. Okay, well, I hope you found that at all helpful or that at least satisfied some of your curiosities. If you liked the video, please do give it a little like. And if you know any other fellow blind girlies that you think would like seeing this, go ahead and share it with them, please. And thank you so much for watching, you little cutie. Okay, bye.